We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Romero delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. Typhoon Fonfon pummeled the central Philippines on December 25th, bringing a wet and miserable Christmas season to millions in the mainly Catholic nation. 28 killed after bus plunges into ravine in Indonesia. And an Indonesian man has built his very own helicopter from scratch in order to escape the country's notorious traffic congestion. Typhoon Fonfon pummeled the central Philippines on December 25th, bringing a wet and miserable Christmas season to millions in the mainly Catholic nation. Thousands were stranded at shuttered ports or evacuation centers at the height of the festive season on Wednesday, and residents cowered in rain-soaked homes as Fonfon leapt from one small island to another for the second day. The typhoon toppled houses and trees and blacked out cities in the Philippines' most storm-prone region, but no deaths were reported. Though weaker, Fonfon was tracking a similar path as Super Typhoon Haiyan, the country's deadliest cyclone on record, which left more than 7,300 people dead or missing in 2013. More than 10,000 people spent the night in schools, gyms, and government buildings, hastily converted into evacuation centers as the typhoon made landfall Tuesday, civil defense officials said. The Weather Office said the typhoon strengthened slightly overnight Tuesday and was gusting at 195 kilometers or 121 miles an hour, velocities that can knock down small trees and destroy houses made of light materials. More islands are along its projected path are expected to be hit with destructive winds and intense rainfall before blowing out into the South China Sea early Thursday, it added. More than 25,000 people trying to get home for the traditional holiday midnight dinner with their families remain stranded at ports on Christmas Day, with ferry services still shut down, the Coast Guard said. Scores of flights to the region also remain cancelled, though the populous capital Manila on the northern edge has so far been spared. Meanwhile, a bus plunged into a ravine on Indonesia's Sumatra Island after its brakes apparently malfunctioned. The accident's death toll has now risen to at least 28 people and injured 13 others, according to police and rescuers. The accident occurred just before midnight Monday on the winding road in South Sumatra Province's Pagaralam district. Palembang Search and Rescue Operation Chief Bertie Coas said they pulled the body of a young boy from a river near the crash site. Local Police Chief Dali Gumara said that the bus plunged into a 262-foot deep ravine and crashed into a fast-flowing river. Reports said the driver lost control of the vehicle in an area with a number of sharp declines. Survivors told authorities that the vehicle's brakes apparently malfunctioned, but police were still investigating the cause of the accident. The bus was headed for the provincial capital of Palembang from the neighboring city of Bengkulu. The capacity of the bus was 52 passengers, but the number of passengers on board was unclear. The driver and the crew were among those killed. Although sovereign nations have the right to bar persons from entering their territory, the Philippine government advised the United States to respect its laws and processes amid its recently signed 2020 national budget that includes a provision banning the persons involved in Senator Leila de Lima's detention in the U.S. All countries have the sovereign prerogative to allow or ban individuals from entering their borders, the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. said in a statement on Tuesday. As Manila respects Washington's laws, the embassy also urged for reciprocity. And I quote, "We strongly advise the United States to respect our own laws and processes in the same way that we respect theirs," it said. On December 20, U.S. President Donald Trump signed into law the said bill. In his recent tweets, Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. dismissed the provision as a reaffirmation, but with careful restrictions, of Washington's incontestable and long-used sovereign power to ban and deport aliens. So it is not a ban, but the reaffirmation of a general authority to exclude aliens. But for grounds yet to be proved to specify those who refuse to drop charges against de Lima. That's our highly educated Supreme Court, so it actually relaxes entry which can be whimsically denied, he said. Prior to the law, Locsin noted that the entry was at the whim of any immigration officer abroad and port of the arrival. Earlier, a U.S. Senate resolution calling for de Lima's immediate release was also approved at the committee level, a move the embassy said may translate to undue interference in the country's domestic affairs. Vietnam seized more than 2 tons of ivory tusk and pangolin scales hidden inside wooden boxes shipped from Nigeria, the state media reported Tuesday. The bust comes at the end of a year of big wildlife seizures destined for communist Vietnam, a hotbed of the illicit but lucrative trade in animal parts from elephants, pangolins, tigers, and rhinos. Authorities in northern Haiphong City found 330 kilograms of ivory and 1.7 tons of pangolin scales after checking 3 container shipments from Nigeria. This according to Haikwon Online, the official mouthpiece of Vietnam's Customs Department. The manifest listed the goods as high-end lumber, the online site said, adding that the haul was hidden in boxes at the back of the containers. Published photos showed a rectangular wooden box full of pangolin scales with elephant tusk mixed in. Both items are highly sought after on the multi-billion-dollar illegal wildlife market. Vietnam outlawed the ivory trade in 1992, but the illegal market still persists and shops sell items predating the ban for decorative and medicinal purposes. The pangolin is considered the most trafficked animal on the planet, and over 1 million have been snatched from Asian and African forests in the past decade. They are destined for markets in China and Vietnam, where their scales are used in traditional medicine and their meat is bought on the black market. Hanoi has vowed to crack down on the illegal wildlife trade, but conservationists say it persists thanks to weak law enforcement. More news when ASEAN in Focus returns. Stay tuned.
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, said it is now studying how it could provide assistance to the estimated 17,000 bikers of motorcycle hailing app Angkas. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said they are now in the process of considering how they could help them. Director Maria Karina Perida Trevilla of the Bureau of Workers with Special Concerns, or the BWSC, said they are now looking at the other livelihood and employment options for the affected workers. She said Angkas drivers belong to the so-called gig economy, which currently belongs to the informal sector. Workers in the informal sector tend to enjoy fewer benefits like Social Security compared to their counterparts in the formal sector. In a statement, Partido Manggagawa, or PM, said the intervention of DOLE for the affected Angkas drivers should go beyond short-term employment facilitation and livelihood aid. PM spokesman Wilson Fortaleza stressed the need for the government to address this, especially due to the increasing numbers of people being employed by transportation network vehicle services like Angkas and Grab. Fortaleza said while companies like Angkas and Grab treat their drivers as independent contractors, they believe this is a misclassification as they should be categorized as employees with concomitant rights. The government must support the transition of riders and drivers from the informal to the formal sector. Thus, this is not just a question of livelihood but also of labor standards and workers' rights. Citing data from the Philippine Statistics Authority, PM said there are already 6.2 million registered motorcycles and tricycles as of 2013. It said there is continuous increase in motorcycle registration, especially with the growing popularity of the motorcycle-based ride-hailing app. Meanwhile, the Mactan Cebu International Airport will have a direct service from Taoyuan International Airport in Taipei, Taiwan, starting on March 29, 2020. Abigail Ratcliffe, Corporate Communications Junior Manager of GMR Megawide Cebu Airport Corporation, or the GMCAC, said that China Airlines is all set to launch the 6 direct flights to Cebu every week. She said the airlines will operate the Taipei-Cebu route using Boeing 737-800 aircraft with 150 economy class and 8 business class seats. The flights, she said, will depart every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the Taipei-Cebu or CI-705 flights arriving Cebu at 10:35 in the morning, and the Cebu-Taipei leaving the Mactan Airport at 11:35 in the morning. Aside from China Airlines, 3 other airlines like Eva Air, Tiger Air Taiwan, and Philippine Air Asia offer direct Taipei-Cebu flights. She said foreign and local passengers will have now more options to connect to other international destinations, as China Airlines operates about 1,400 flights weekly to 102 cities across Asia, Europe, and North America. Travelers, she added, will have more flexibility in planning their itineraries with the airline's early departure and afternoon arrival schedules. In other news, Bloomberry Cruise Terminal, Inc., or the BCTI, a company owned by Ports magnate Enrique Razon Jr., said it will start operating its first facility dedicated to accept cruise ships after December 25th. The company said the Ilocos Cruise Port in Salumage will begin its operations on December 26th. With the maiden call of the largest cruise vessel currently deployed in Asia, Spectrum of the Seas. The ship is owned and operated by Royal Caribbean, one of the world's largest cruise brands, and will bring with it up to 4,819 passengers and 1,551 crew. The ship is scheduled to arrive at Salumage from the port of Naha in Okinawa, Japan, on a 7-night Japan and Philippines itinerary out of Hong Kong. As a tender port of call, tourists will be ferried to and from the ship to the port, where they will be greeted by the port's new welcome center, which details the history and cultural heritage of the region. Buses and tourist vans will then bring the tourists to touristic sites in Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, as well as the historic city of Vigan, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. For next year, the cruise terminal has already confirmed calls from Royal Caribbean, Genting Cruises, and an expedition ship, Caledonian Sky. ASEAN in Focus will be right back. Stay tuned.
Accurate and fair reporting. Not only from Batanes to Tawi-Tawi, but also abroad. Detailed and timely stories relevant to people all over the world. Catch all of these at Net25, your reliable source of news, entertainment, and technology updates.
Welcome back. An Indonesian man has built his very own helicopter from scratch in order to escape the country's notorious traffic congestion. Take a look. Car mechanic Jujun Junaidi showed off his DIY flyer, which he hopes to have up and running by 2020, on a visit to his workshop in Sukabumi, a town just outside Jakarta, on Sunday.
Akan motivasi mungkin pertama ke keluarga, ke lingkungan, dan mudah-mudahan nanti banyak memotivasi orang-orang di luar sana mungkin kalau sekiranya ini patut menjadi inspirasi atau motivasi ya. Dan itu bisa buktikan saya ini dengan anak saya ini asisten pribadinya nih baru kelas 3 SD aja baru masuk, mungkin umurnya 9 tahun sekarang.
Since launching the project a year ago, Junaidi has relied on his high school education, skills, and online tutorials. The 8-meter-long helicopter is powered by a 700cc, 24-horsepower Guards GN77 GM motor that was given a test run by Junaidi and his 9-year-old son and assistant, Dede Rafka. Surfboard tucked under his arm, Derry Setiawan sprints into the crashing waves. It is not just a physical challenge, but an emotional one. Most of his family and friends were swept to their deaths when a tsunami hit these shores 15 years ago. His hometown of Lampuok was almost destroyed entirely, but despite his devastating loss, the father of two seized the water as a way to heal. On December 26, 2004, a monstrous 9.3 magnitude quake struck undersea off the coast of Sumatra. It sparked a tsunami nearly 100 feet or 30 meters high that killed more than 220,000 across a string of Indian Ocean countries, including Thailand, Sri Lanka, and India.
Nggak ada terasa lagi bahwa tsunami itu yang menggulung kita nggak ada lagi pikiran ke situ. Bahkan ombak inilah menjadi bagian sahabat kita gitu. Jadi untuk kita merasakan wah ini ombak ini tsunami-nya, kita nggak ada lagi pikiran dan hal ke arah ke situ. Jadi bagaimana ombak inilah yang jadi kawan sehari-hari kita untuk surfing dan untuk olahraga kita.
Saya nggak pindah. Kenapa Pak nggak pindah? Nggak mungkin dia bilang luka di atas luka. Jawabannya. Ya. Maka kami tidak pindah. Tetap di sana. Walaupun kampungnya udah sebelah putus. Nggak ada lagi itu sana.
And that is the latest news to the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Gamera, and I'm on with 25.